Welcome to the Ambitious Coach Podcast. This is a place where driven, determined coaches learn how to get off the business growth struggle bus and learn how to build a wildly profitable online coaching business. I'm your host, Allison Henderson, corporate dropout to six-figure social media business coach. I'm going to show you how I've been able to create the business of my dreams organically, all through utilizing my social media platforms. So pull up a seat, take some notes, and get ready to see your life and bank account transform. Hello. Welcome back to the Ambitious Coach Podcast. Today's special guest is Dana Obleman. I really love this interview for many reasons. Dana has been a business owner for 20 years and has certified some of the best business owners that I know. She is such a sweet lady and one of the OGs when it comes to sleep consultants. If you don't know Dana, she began her private practice in Vancouver, Canada in 2003. After struggling with her own child's sleep, she drew on her dual degrees in psychology and education to create the Sleep Sense program. It is a complete sleep resource for parents. It has sold almost 130,000 copies in more than 30 countries. She has been a featured speaker at major parenting trade shows, a frequent guest on radio and television programs, and her work has been highlighted on Good Morning America, CNN, Today's Parent, WebMD, and the Washington Post. She has personally trained a global network of over 350 certified Sleep Sense consultants who help tired families around the world. Dana lives in Sarasota, Florida with her husband and 3 children, where she continues her life's work to educate and empower families with healthy sleep habits. In this episode, I asked her some private questions about her marketing, what's really lighting her up in her business right now, how to stand out as a business owner, her self-care routine, and so much more. I can't wait for you to listen to this episode, and I'll see you all again next week. Hello, everyone. It's Allison. Welcome back to the podcast today. I have a very special guest, Dana Obleman. She is the founder of Sleep Sense. Dana, welcome to the podcast.
Oh, it's great to be here. Thank you.
Yeah. So I always like to start my podcast episodes with just sharing a little bit about who you are and what you're all about.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Dana, and I'm really all about sleep. I've been running Sleep Sense for the last 20 years, kind of was born out of necessity with my own son. My first son was a very problem sleeper, and I kind of hit my rock bottom moment with him at about the 5.5-month mark and thought, I'm just going to see, maybe there's something I can actually do about this, that there may be something I need to show him or teach him to help him become a better sleeper. And good news, there was, and there is. So I put the pieces together from my own son and just decided that I was so passionate about it. I was like one of those annoying people who just like accosts strangers at the playground and starts like telling them the good news about sleep and that you could teach your baby. And I just kind of thought maybe this is a missing piece of the parenting puzzle. Back then, it most definitely was. And I just really kind of opened up the opportunity for myself to step in that as potentially a career. And that's what I did. I just really took a huge leap of faith in myself and haven't looked back since.
Wow. So you said you started this 20 years ago. So obviously marketing has changed a lot since then, right?
Oh,
yeah. So you said you would just go to the park and be like, so mom, are you sleeping through the night? So tell me how things have evolved. Like, how do you feel about marketing now?
Oh my goodness. It really has changed so much. I mean, back then, all I did was write what was called an ebook, and no one even knew, like it was brand new. It was like, an ebook, what's that? And so I wrote this ebook, and we built a website, and we wrote some sales copy, and we started selling it mainly off of like Google Ads, and people just bought it. And it was so long ago that people actually still thought when an email marketing campaign came to your inbox and it said, hi, Allison, people still thought that like I was really writing, hi, Allison, like it was that long ago. So it's changed so much over the years. And, I think it's it's a harder space now, I think, especially the email online marketing component, just because our inboxes are just, bombarded daily with so much promotional material that it's so hard to stand out in all that noise.
Mhm. And I know you have, I mean, at this point, you've had thousands probably, right, of students come through your program. Like, how are you telling them, like, here's how you stand out now as a sleep consultant, like over probably like what you did like 10 or 20 years ago?
Yeah. So the training of sleep consultants was kind of a separate branch to the business that I started. That's been 13 years now. We've been running the certification piece to become a sleep sense consultant. And again, in 13 years, it's changed a lot. I think it's become a bit of a more competitive space, which I don't think is always a bad thing. I think competition, it just drives awareness, and it just like makes it a more, so it proves the value behind the service, right?
Yeah.
Because
This
if
is
you
such a
see more
great
and more
business for
people,
moms. Yeah. I love
well,
this
yeah,
business.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's something they can do from home. It's something they can do around their children's schedules. And so it really did, I think, open the door to a lot of moms who are looking for a bit better, work-life balance. But yeah, again, that's become, it's a platform in which people need to separate themselves a little bit, and find, what their sweet spot or their niche. Some of our consultants really love working with toddlers, so they kind of hone in on the toddler scene. Others really love the newborn space, so they're gearing it more towards newborn parents. So within, the context of sleep consultants, just like the context of business coaches, right? If you find that sort of niche spot where you can specialize, that can help kind of narrow the channel in which you're talking to people.
Yeah. I always tell my clients that as well. It's like, who is your ideal client? And especially for sleep consultants, it's like there is an age group you probably prefer working with anyway. Like, why not hone in on that and create content specifically for that?
Mm-hmm.
So, obviously 20 some years ago, like social media was so different. So now, like when you show up on social media, like, do you have any like, I don't know, like I want to say like limiting beliefs or like fears or anything that pops up for you, even doing this after 20 years?
Yeah. Well, I think it's when you put yourself in a public platform, there's always a fear of criticism, right? No matter what space you're in, it doesn't matter which business, you're in. People are going to have comments, and some are positive and some are negative, and it can be a little bit frightening, to make yourself vulnerable in that way. So that's something that I think everyone has to deal with and work through and continually work through it, right? Like, I don't think you ever get to a place where you're like, oh, it doesn't bother me at all anymore. I don't care what people say, right? I don't think that happens. So you just kind of always have to kind of keep revisiting it and bumping up against it and getting through it. And that's not always easy.
Yeah. Yeah. Confidence is a big piece of what I, help with sleep consultants with, and just coaches overall, because it's just that fear of just putting your face and like talking to a camera. And I've been doing this now for, over 5 years, and it's still like, okay, I just have to do it. I know it's just a part of my entrepreneur job to tell people what I do, what I'm all about, and how I can help them. But like, to that person who's just starting out, like, what if they have such a fear of that? Like, what would you tell them?
Well, start small, right? Just start small. Maybe like going live is too much of a step right out of the gate. So maybe just record, a minute or two sleep tip here and there. Ask other people too, because you're your own worst critic, right? You're going to sit there and pick apart everything and do it over and over again, and it's never going to be perfect. And so that can hold people back. But like, ask your partner to look at it, ask a girlfriend to look at it and give you feedback, or just tell you you're amazing. And that can kind of help push you forward to get yourself out there. And it's just like, every time you step out of your comfort zone, it gets a little bit easier, right? And then eventually the comfort zone expands with the more you kind of push yourself and step out of it. So it gets easier. It really does. But you kind of have to, even if you force yourself once a week, I'm going to do, a little, either just a little live video or a reel, or work your way up to maybe actually going live on your platforms. Just baby steps.
Yeah. What are you seeing what's working right now? Since like, obviously you have a lot of students inside your certification, like as far as marketing, sales, like lead generation, like what are you seeing as like a trend that's maybe working right now for everybody?
Yeah. Well, I find it so interesting because, again, I've been teaching and mentoring entrepreneurs for 13 years now. And what works for someone doesn't always work for the other one, right? And so I wish that there was just here's the 5 things you have to do, and that's going to generate all the clients you want. But I can have one consultant, who's doing live seminars, at baby places, and she leaves with 5 or 6 clients every time. So it's a worthwhile effort for her. And I can have another consultant have tried that 10 times and left with nothing. And it's the same with the online space. Like some of my consultants are really doing well with Instagram, and others kind of feel like they're banging their head against the wall with that. And so I think it's more about like finding your sweet spot, finding the place that really generates. I mean, if it's not generating clients, then, kind of feels like you're wasting your time. So just because somebody else is doing it doesn't necessarily mean you have to do it. It just means you need to find what works for you.
I love that. And it's so true. Same thing. I'm always just like, what would be an ideal lead generation idea for you? Like, what do you want to do? Because sometimes it's not social media. Like I've had people go through my full program and at the end being like, I don't think it's for me. And I'm like, that's okay. Like, it's totally fine because there's so many other ways to market yourself. And it doesn't have to be on Instagram or, Facebook groups or something like that, even though that's what works for me. And that's what I sell. And I'm all about that. And I will like literally throw myself in front of a bus for like Instagram these days. Like, I love it. But like, yeah, like it's just not for everybody. And that's okay sometimes to really just say that. But I earlier we were talking before this interview, talking about like conversion rates and just like overall like lead generation. I know that you do funnels, correct, for Sleep Sense?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like how I don't teach funnels inside my course, so I'd love for you to maybe go a little bit like into that, like how that works for Sleep Sense for you.
Well, we've been kind of doing the same thing for a lot of years, and that's a quiz, an online quiz. So we get people to answer some questions about their baby's sleep, and then it generates a customized response based on their baby's age and some of the answers that they gave to the questions. So I think quizzes are still hitting pretty hard. Like lots of people are motivated, like everything that I sign up for these days. Like I was even buying shampoo the other day and it was like, let's do a quiz about what kind of hair you have. Right. And so like everybody's doing kind of a quiz model. But people still like to do it. Like, oh, what special secrets are you going to tell me about my hair?
Yeah, that's true.
So we do that. And then from there, people kind of get separated into their buckets based on their baby's age. And then we, do a drip sequence of about five to 7 days of content and a bit of a sales pitch, amongst it all. And again, that's changed a lot over the years too. And I think it's just because of the inbox competition. That's just like, it's really hard to keep people's interest long enough to read through, sales copy. And so it really has to catch them. It's got to be very engaging, and it's really got to speak, not just from a sales perspective, but give people like really good content the content that they're looking for, which isn't always easy to figure out.
Yeah. I know this just from my own email marketing, like, I give a ton of value. Like I'm not somebody who just is like, oh, just, here's one little tip here. It's like, I give like a why is this even important? And like, here's how to do it. I think there is, like, you're right. There's so much competition, even in our inboxes. But I think what I love about the inbox is even if somebody doesn't open it, like they're still seeing your name every day. Like they're still like, you're
Mhm.
still top of mind for them. So I always like tell people like, just relax if people aren't always opening up your emails. Like, and you're right, it has to be relevant to them. It has to be engaging to them. So always like take a look at that sort of stuff. But sometimes just like, hey, it's nice that that person is still like, they're still seeing you every day, and that's okay. Or even if it's not every day, once or twice a week.
Yeah.
But
They didn't
yeah,
unsubscribe, right?
they did not subscribe. Yeah.
People very rarely unsubscribe because that's like an extra step in the day, right?
Mhm. So I know that email, as far as like conversion rates for you, is, you know, probably pretty high, but also for like your certification, do you do email marketing for that as well?
Yeah, we do. We make it is sort of an application process. We sell it as a, do you want to start your own career? But we're looking for specific people. Like we're really trying to weed and vet people that are really going to be, they're going to do the work that's involved in starting a business, and that they get that. So yeah, we do that, and then they walk through a process. They have to have an interview and see if it's a good fit for them and feels like a good fit for us before we move them on in the process.
So what made you start this certification 13 years ago? Like where you're like, okay, I'm a sleep consultant, and then now I'm going to go, oh, hey, like I'm going to start this certification program.
Yeah. Again, I think the best way to sort of follow a trend in your business or to like pivot or change streams is to listen to what your customers are asking for. So I would have customers, right, that I'd worked with who would come back to me and say that, you changed my life in such a powerful way. I want to do this too. I want to help other parents. I want to, kind of pay it forward. It took me a bit. I was pretty resistant because I was like, well, how would that work? And is it a franchise? And can I teach you? And, can anyone do it like I do it? So there's a lot of stuff I had to kind of work through and get over before I finally launched into certification. But yeah, I was just asked enough times. I was like, okay, there must be something to this. There must actually be a call that people are looking for this sort of training and support. And it is a great career. I already knew that part. So yeah, why not create an opportunity for other women to do a similar thing?
What are the characteristics that you look for? Like, I know that you said like, they're willing to put in the work, but is there like anything particular now that like you're noticing over the last few years that are like, this person kills it. This person just like, you can tell is just, she has it.
Yeah, I can. And really it comes down to mindset more than anything else. We have all the skills. You can get training in anything. I mean, you can figure out the pieces of like, how do you grow a business and how do you have a sales conversation and how do you market? You can learn all those skills, but the mindset piece is really what I think kind of separates those from, those are like killing it and going and getting it, and others who might, struggle or fumble out of the gate. And it really, I think it's the same mindset I had. It was like, failure's not an option here. Like, I don't have a backup plan. I mean, my backup plan was to go back to teaching, but I really, really, really didn't want to do that. So that wasn't an option for me. And so it just was, I got to make this work, and I'm willing to do whatever I need to do to make it work. I'll learn from everybody. I'll ask for help. I'll pound the pavement. I'll make the phone calls. I'll put up the posters. I'll do whatever I need to do to see this through. And that's to me what it really comes down to.
Yeah. I kind of hate the question where someone goes, well, how many hours am I going to have to work a day? I'm like however long it takes, like really, right? Like, I don't know. It could take you 2 hours a day, or it could take you 10 hours a day. I don't know. But like, you're right. Like, I feel like, I mean, and you have this too, where it's like the do whatever it takes like mentality. And I think so many people come into this like kind of shocked that they have to work. Like, oh, okay. Like, so you're saying I have to like post on social media every day. I'm like, kind of, yeah. Like, are you okay with it? Like,
yeah.
And yeah, I think that like that one mindset, it's like I'm gonna do whatever it takes. If I have to, fail and fumble or do whatever, cool. But like it's those people for me that like have really good work ethic as well, and like aren't scared to do the work.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, because I mean, if entrepreneurship
Yeah.
was easy, everyone would be doing it. Everyone would, right? Who doesn't want to be their own boss?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just, yeah, I think, yeah, mindset component with like, you got to do the work every day, and every day after that, like is
Yeah.
a,
Well,
big thing. Yeah.
and be willing to ask for
Yeah.
help and learn,
Oh
right? Like,
yeah. Oh yeah.
there was no, I had no, I would even like cold
Yeah.
called somebody at my husband's office who was in PR. I was like, hey, I'm Mike's wife. Can you help me? Can you show me how to like pitch to the news or get on the TV? And she did. Like, that was the best part. You know, you never know until you ask. And
Yeah,
that's another
use the
important.
connections, use your network.
Yeah. Yeah, you and be okay with asking. Like, you might hear no, but you might hear yes as well. And so you never know unless you ask.
Yeah. I tell all my clients too, I'm like, use your network. Like, what if you sent 10 messages out today? I'm like, don't be afraid of somebody like replying back saying, no, I can't help you. Like, that's really all. I'm like, that's like probably the worst thing that's going to happen, or they don't reply back. But like, most people are excited to help you, want to help you, and have a few extra minutes to like take some time to answer your questions or refer you or do whatever that, you ask them to do. But yeah, you won't know until you try. You won't know until you ask.
True.
So I guess tell me too, like, like I said, you have a lot of students. Like, how do you manage that many people at once? Like, I know for some people that want to like have a possibly team of sleep consultants underneath them or something like that. Like, how do you delegate like that? And how do you manage that?
Yeah. Well, when it gets to a certain point, you'll feel like I can't handle it all by myself, or you feel like you're getting a little bit burnt out from answering the questions or providing the support. And so then I just start looking for like, who within my community is shining, right? Really standing out. So you don't even really need to go very far. You just look within your own pool at who are your students, or who are your past clients, or who are the people that, go the extra effort and seem really engaged and are doing well. And then I just started hiring them to be my coaches. So then I had, my right hand gal who did a lot of the mentoring through our new trainees, and then having coaches that answer questions in the Facebook group. And so then it just sort of, the support spreads out and comes down. But you can't do it all. You're going to have to find people who can support you through that.
Yeah. What's really lighting you up right now, Dana, inside your business?
What's lighting me up? Oh, well, we've been making some changes. I think sometimes, with entrepreneurship, it could get a little stale after a while, especially if you're just kind of rinsing and repeating and rinsing and repeating. And I'm not that kind of person. I don't do that well with like getting bored in business. So we've been pivoting a little bit. We're just launching a new version of our Sleep Sense program, which is going to provide a lot more support to our customer. There's going to be a community atmosphere to it, a forum, because I know moms like to talk to each other in a safe space about what's going on with their child's sleep, and get support and inspiration and help those in the community. So I'm really excited about that. That just launched last week. So we got some new things coming up, and I love doing podcasts and speaking events. So that's something I've been focusing on too, is just doing some outreach there. Yeah, you got to keep it fresh and interesting, and do things that you like. Try to find things that you like, and focus on doing those.
Mm-hmm. I know before we had a conversation about just like really taking good care of yourself through this so that you don't get burnt out. I'd love to hear your perspective on that.
Yeah. Oh, I've seen so many of our consultants burn out, and it can happen really quickly. Actually, I think you're in danger of burning out in year one more than any other year, just because there's so much to do and you don't know where your boundaries are yet. And it's kind of, it's a learning process to support your self-care. But for me, yeah, my number one tip for morning. And that's a book. I didn't invent that, but it is something that I teach to my consultants. And that's just carving out a bit of time in the morning. I dedicate an hour, but I know not everyone has an hour. Maybe it's 20 minutes or 30 minutes, and just doing some, I journal. I do some meditation. I do some reading. I try to focus on like business building reading in the mornings. And then I, make time for exercise and that in the morning period. But just having that little bit of time in the morning to kind of collect my thoughts, get some things down on paper, have a look at my day, just really helps set the tone for a positive day.
Yeah, I do that too. My mornings are really important to me. Like even today, went to my workout, kind of sit in my car for a little bit, just breathe, just kind of like collect myself, set my intention for the day. And yeah, there's something about just sitting in silence for a bit too. And just, I don't know, like journaling or whatever it is, but it's really important to me to have that like me time. So I don't burn out or get super stressed out. Like, and I know that once again, you've been doing this for a long time. Like you've had really stressful days. Like, how do you get through that season of like, oh, just like we're hustling, we're pushing through and like, it's really stressful.
Yeah. I mean, I think balance is a bit of a tricky word. I know, especially women, we love to throw around this word balance. And I don't know that really exists. I think there's days where, I'm working really hard and it's pushing into other things, but I know that not every day is like this. And there'll be other days where, I can take the day off or go on the field trips with the kids or whatever it was when they were younger. And so it's more about like the quality of time as opposed to like equally doled out hours of the day spent on every, person, including yourself. That's a job in of itself to manage that. But yeah, I think I work from home. And so it's really important that I have clear boundaries about when work time is over. I really try I don't check emails when I'm not working. That's something I've had to teach myself to be very strict about, and you just think, oh, I'll just check, I'm just going to check
real quick.
One more time. And then it's like some piece of bad news right before bed, or it's like a, 911 fire, someone's having an emergency and now your whole night is shot. So you have to be really, I call it being ruthless with yourself, like holding yourself to your own rules is super important as an entrepreneur, because there's no one else that's going to do it for you. It's all on you.
You're right. I say, turn off all your notifications for like everything. Like you don't want to hear the ding or the buzz, especially like really late at night. And I'm like, don't give your clients like your text, like they can text you at all hours, like set some boundaries. But yeah, you're right. Balance is really hard. Like I know I have 2 kids. And yeah, all day it's just like, I'm a mom and I'm a business owner and I have to go back and forth and it's not the same every day. It's so different. But we all make it work, right? It's just one of those things. Like, I feel like moms are the best business owners. Like we can like literally do anything.
That's true. That is true.
Yeah.
Often at the same time. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, Dana, it's been so nice talking with you. Like any last words of wisdom?
Oh, it sounds corny, but I still believe like you have to have a passion for what you're doing, and to be careful with that word as well, because passion is a feeling and owning a business is a commitment. And there's a big difference between those two things. And so your passion's not going to carry you every day. You're not skipping around the room in passionate love with your business. That doesn't happen. But to me, still 20 years later, I'm very passionate about sleep. I think sleep is everyone's birthright and you deserve it and your children do. And, I'll be up on my pedestal banging that drum until the end of time, because I really believe it. And yeah, if you can hang on to that, just something that you really feel like a connection to, then I think it makes owning a business easier.
Love how you said that. You're right. It's such a commitment. And yeah, you got to have the passion for it. Well, thank you so much, Dana. If people want to hear more from you or, want to learn more about the business, where should they find you?
Yeah, you can check out our website at sleepsense.net. I'm also on socials under Sleep Sense on Instagram and Dana Obleman on Facebook. And you can always send me an email, an old-fashioned email if you like.
I love that. Oh, thank you so much for coming on. I just love hearing from you. And thank you so much.
Oh, I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening to the Ambitious Coach podcast today. A couple favors before you go. If you found this episode helpful, please take a screenshot and share it on Instagram. Most importantly, don't forget to tag me at Allison Henderson _coach. That's ALLISON Henderson _coach. And lastly, please take a minute to rate this episode and leave a raving review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you tune in to listen. Okay, ambition is great, but it's time to get to work. Take action and commit to being 1% better every day. Once again, thank you for tuning in, and I will see you again next week.